reliable step-by-step career ladder you were told to climb? It's a relic. What you really need in this chaotic market is professional agility. The rigid 5-year plans of the past, and even a modern 1-year plan, simply can't keep pace with a market that reinvents itself seemingly every quarter. In a world defined by constant change, the single most valuable skill is not mastering one thing, but building the system to master the next thing. So what is that system? The answer, it turns out, isn't found in a traditional rule book, but by treating your career as the most important design project, something to be prototyped, tested, and constantly iterated upon. We'll show you how to build it. Welcome to Norton Design Lab. Today, we're diving headfirst into the single most critical competency for any professional navigating the complexities of the market today: personal agility. This isn't another video about learning a new skill. This is for every ambitious person out there who feels like they're on a treadmill where the speed keeps increasing and the goalposts keep moving. It raises some fascinating questions. What if your career isn't a ladder you are supposed to blindly climb, but a product that you need to consciously design? How can you apply the same battle-tested agile principles used to build world-class software to make your own career immune to market shocks? And what is the underlying operating system that allows elite performers to not just survive, but thrive in this chaos, constantly staying ahead of the curve? The answer lies in a powerful framework that shifts you from being a passive passenger to an active designer of your professional life. We're going to show you how to build what I call personal agility backlog, a concrete tool that turns this theory into immediate action. By the end of this video, you won't just understand the concepts, you'll have a practical blueprint to start treating your career like an agile project, making you resilient, adaptable, and genuinely future-ready. The Norton Design Lab videos reflect my personal views, not those of my current or former employers. The case study is a composite of multiple examples. Individual results will vary. Let's dive in. Welcome to Norton Design Lab. I'm Brad Norton. With over 20 years of experience designing strategies that work and boosting salesforce effectiveness through evidence-based management, I'm here to investigate how we can transform professional outcomes. Today, we're tackling the crucial topic within our future-ready sales professional pillar. You might think this is just another video of learning the hot new skill for 2025, but we're going much deeper. This isn't about what you need to learn, it's about how you need to learn. We're focused on building the underlying system for continuous adaptation in a world that refuses to stand still. We'll explore the foundational concept of a growth mindset and see how to apply agile frameworks to your own career, and give you a practical tool to start designing your professional future today. So let's frame the fundamental challenge we're all facing. The traditional playbook for career success, the one that said to pick a lane, master a script, and grind it out for 40 years, is now officially obsolete. It's a museum piece, a relic. The sheer velocity of change in technology, buyer expectations, and market dynamics means that the expertise that made you a hero last year could be the very thing that makes you a liability next year. The real danger in this new world isn't being wrong, it's staying wrong. This elevates the problem beyond a simple skills gap into something much deeper, a mindset gap. This brings us to the foundational work of Carol S. Dweck in her book, Mindset: The New Psychology of Success. Dweck's research revealed 2 core mindsets: a fixed mindset, assuming that our abilities are static, carved in stone, and when faced with a challenge, the primary goal is to look smart and avoid failure at all costs, which makes people brittle and defensive. In stark contrast, a growth mindset thrives on challenges, viewing them not as threats, but as opportunities to learn and grow. This belief that you can cultivate your abilities is the absolute bedrock of agility. A professional with a fixed mindset is like a person who only knows one workout routine. They might be great at lifting weights, but they're completely unprepared the moment they need to run a mile. The professional with a growth mindset, however, is constantly experimenting, adding new exercises, and building versatile fitness. This distinction is everything. It's the defining factor that separates the celebrated veterans from the obsolete relics. So, how does this battle between a fixed and growth mindset play out in the real world, under immense pressure? Let me take you through a composite case study. Let's call her Alex. For years, Alex was the definition of a top performer, a consistent President's Club or whatever your top reward program is, winner. She had mastered the company's sales playbook and knew exactly how to navigate complex deals to get them closed. She was a fine-tuned machine, executing a proven process with incredible efficiency. But then the market shifted. A new agile competitor entered the space. Buyer priorities changed, and the economic headwinds grew stronger. Suddenly, Alex's trusted playbook started failing. The scripts that used to work were met with new objections she'd never heard. The value proposition that once resonated now fell flat. For the first time in her career, her numbers started to slip, and she found herself in the middle of the pack. The stakes were incredibly high. This wasn't just about missing her quota. Her identity as a top performer was shaken. She faced the terrifying prospect of becoming irrelevant, and the worst part was her old method of just working harder wasn't fixing the problem. This wasn't an effort problem. It was a systems problem. So, if the problem is a mindset gap, what is the solution? It's not a single trick. It's a 3-layered framework that creates a personal engine for continuous adaptation. First, we need the psychological bedrock, the growth mindset. This revolutionary idea comes from Carol Dweck's masterpiece, Mindset. To really dive in on this, I recommend ordering a copy. I've dropped a link in the description for you. Just a heads up, as an Amazon associate, I may earn from qualifying purchases if you use that link, which helps support the channel at no extra cost to you. The core idea is a simple but profound belief that your skills are not fixed entities, but can be developed through dedication and hard work. This shift is what allows you to reframe a daunting challenge from a threat that might expose your weaknesses into a thrilling opportunity for learning. Think of it like a video game character. A fixed mindset player is stuck with their starting stats. A growth mindset player sees every challenge as a quest for experience points, constantly looking to level up their skills and abilities. Next, we add the tactical layer, your personal way of working, or WOW. This concept is brilliantly adapted from the world of agile software development, as detailed in Choose Your WOW by Scott Ambler and Mark Lyons. I've also linked this essential guide in the description below. The same Amazon associate heads up. Just as a software team must choose the right methods for a specific project, a future-ready professional must consciously choose the right sales techniques and plays for the situation they're in. Your context dictates your approach. Are you dealing with an early-stage startup or a massive enterprise? A transactional sales or a complex multi-year partnership? Having a personal wow means you stop relying on a single rigid script and start building a flexible dynamic playbook that you can adapt on the fly. Finally, we need the engine that drives this whole system, unlocking personal agility. This is the how of it all, laid out beautifully by Jorgen Hesselberg in his book, Unlocking Agility. The link is also in the description. This is where the theory becomes practice through 3 core habits. First, you run small, low-risk experiments, like testing a new outreach script or a different way of structuring a demo. Second, you seek rapid feedback on those experiments. What worked? What didn't? Third, you conduct personal retrospectives to analyze that feedback and decide what to change next. A process that helps you learn from both your wins and, just as importantly, your losses. This loop, experiment, feedback, retrospect, is the engine of adaptation that powers your growth. So, how did this framework play out for Alex, our top performer who suddenly found her playbook obsolete? She didn't just read a book. She treated her career as a design project, moving through a deliberate process of transformation. It all started with the empathize and define stage. This was her growth mindset moment. Instead of blaming the market or complaining about the new competitor, she turned inward. She stopped seeing the situation as a verdict on her fixed abilities and started seeing it as a puzzle to be solved. She began asking powerful questions. What is the real job my customers are trying to do now? And what does the market need from a professional like me that I'm not currently providing? This allowed her to define her problem with stunning clarity. Her problem wasn't that my sales script is failing, it was that my entire value proposition is misaligned with the new customer reality. That reframe changed everything. It wasn't a failure, it was a design challenge. Alex sat down and brainstormed a list of skills, experiments, and habits she could develop to solve it. This became her personal agility backlog. It wasn't a random to-do list. It was a strategic portfolio of potential growth opportunities. On it, she wrote things like master advanced searches in LinkedIn Sales Navigator to find new decision makers, or learn to create and send personalized video outreach messages, and then finally, develop a clear point of view on how our new AI competitor actually works. This backlog was her universe of possibilities, a concrete list of ways she could start evolving her professional product. She wasn't trying to do everything at once. She was simply mapping out the territory for her comeback. Then she moved to the crucial prototype and test phase. This is where her personal agility engine kicked into gear. She knew she couldn't boil the ocean, so she pulled just one high-priority item from her backlog to focus on for her personal sprint. Her choice? Developing a new script for handling a common objection raised by her new competitor. She treated it like a true experiment. Her hypothesis was that a more consultative, less defensive response would improve outcomes. She set a time frame of 2 weeks to test it. She actively sought feedback, briefing her manager on the experiment and asking for direct coaching after calls. She meticulously observed customer reactions, noting their tone and follow-up questions. She wasn't trying something new, she was running a structured test and gathering data. Finally, she executed the most important step, iterate. After the 2-week sprint, she blocked off time for a personal retrospective. She looked at her data. The first version of her script, she realized, was still too reactive. But the slightly adjusted version she tried in week 2, where she acknowledged the competitor's strengths before pivoting back to her unique value, was resonating. Customers were opening up more. This rapid feedback loop allowed her to discard the parts that failed and double down on what succeeded. The successful experiment wasn't just a one-time win, it became a new validated play in her personal way of working. She had successfully designed, tested, and deployed a new piece of her professional toolkit. So what was the result of Alex treating her career like an agile project instead of a fixed script? The impact was immediate and profound, both on her numbers and on her mindset. Quantitatively, the results were undeniable. Her sales pipeline, which had been stagnant, began to grow again with better qualified opportunities. Within just 2 quarters of implementing her new system, she was back in the top 10% of the salesforce. Even more telling, her average sales cycle for new deals started to shorten, a direct result of her discovery process being more deeply aligned with the current needs of her customers. But the numbers don't tell the whole story. The more profound change was internal. Her confidence returned, but it was a completely different kind of confidence. It wasn't the brittle, fragile confidence that comes from knowing all the answers. It was the resilient, anti-fragile confidence that comes from knowing you have a process for finding the answers no matter what the market throws at you. She became less fearful of changes and genuinely more curious about it, seeing shifts not as threats but as new design challenges to tackle. This personal transformation had a powerful ripple effect, leading to a significant overall business impact. Alex stopped from being a top performer to a true team leader. She started proactively sharing her personal agility process with her colleagues, coaching them on how to build their own backlogs and run their own experiments. She was no longer just executing the company playbook, she was a key architect in designing the next one. This is the very essence of what it means to be a future-ready professional. Now, it's easy to look at a story like Alex's and think it's a special case, but this framework is designed for universal application. How can you adapt these lessons to your own career starting today? It really comes down to a few key factors and avoiding some very common traps. First, the key success factors are internal. This entire system is built on two pillars: psychological safety with yourself and rigorous honesty. You have to give yourself permission to fail at a small experiment. If your new outreach script doesn't work, that's not a failure. It's a successful test that generated valuable data. And during your personal retrospective, you must be rigorously honest about what that data is telling you. This isn't about beating yourself up. It's about objective analysis to fuel the next iteration. So how does this apply if you're not in sales? You might be an engineer, a marketer, or a new manager. The question is universal. What is the most valuable problem you can solve for your organization right now? And what's one small experiment you can run next week to get better at solving it? As you start, be aware of three potential pitfalls. The first is creating an overwhelming backlog that leads to paralysis. Don't create a list of 50 items you want to improve. Pick just one or two high-impact priorities for your first 30-day sprint. Second, the busiest people will always be tempted to skip the retrospective. Don't do this. The retrospective is the most critical step. It's the learning phase where you extract value from your experiment. Protect that time on your calendar as if it's your most important meeting. Finally, there's the fear of feedback. Asking for input can feel vulnerable, so reframe it in your mind. You are not asking for personal judgment. You're collecting essential data for your experiment. This mindset shift makes the process objective, not personal. So today we saw how combining a growth mindset with the practical tools of a personal way of working and agile sprints can transform your career from a static path into a dynamic, adaptive project. It's a powerful shift from being a passenger to being the designer of your own professional journey. If you're ready to stop reacting to the future and start designing for it, hit that subscribe button and click the bell so you don't miss our next video. Share this video with a colleague who is also navigating their career in this chaotic world. I also encourage you to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic. And the big question for you, what's the number one skill you're planning to add to your personal agility backlog? Let me know in the comments below. I'm always fascinated to see what challenges and opportunities are top of mind for this community. To make this real, here are 3 things you can do first thing Monday morning to start applying these ideas. First, open your calendar and schedule a 30-minute recurring meeting with yourself every Friday afternoon. Title it Personal Retrospective. This is a non-negotiable. Second, identify one small nagging part of your job that you've been avoiding because you feel you're not good at it. That's a fixed mindset trigger. Write it down as the first item for your new personal agility backlog. Third, send a message to one trusted colleague or your manager and ask this specific question. What is the one thing I could start doing next week that would have the biggest positive impact on my work? Try these out and then come back and post your biggest learning in the comments below. I'll be looking out for them. Thanks so much for watching. Keep innovating, stay curious, keep growing, and I'll see you in the next one. Coffee has a good result and impact. To get better at solving it. Oh God, I can't even say these words.